All right, let's talk about one of the most critical drivers for any successful company, staffing. I mean, it's everything, right? It's all about getting the right people into the right jobs. And honestly, it's a process that can literally make or break a business. So let's dive in and see how it's really done. This quote from Narayana Murthy, the former CEO of Infosys, just hits the nail on the head. Think about it. Unlike your computers or your office building, your most valuable assets, your people, they can just get up and leave. So the entire game, really, is about creating a place where that amazing talent wants to be and wants to come back to every single morning.
So what exactly is staffing? Well, the textbook definition calls it the managerial function of filling and keeping positions filled. It's kind of like the engine that makes the whole organization run. And in the simplest terms you could possibly use, it's just putting people to jobs. But, and this is a big but, as we're about to see, that very simple phrase hides a ton of complexity in strategy.
So here's our game plan for today. We're going to start with why people are so incredibly important. Then we'll walk through the whole journey, from the initial planning and recruiting to selecting and bringing someone on board, and then all the way to training them and managing their career. This is basically the complete life cycle of an employee from the company's point of view.
First up, why does this all matter so much? Before we get into the how of staffing, we absolutely have to understand the why. Because you can have the best ideas and the best products in the world, but without the right people, they're just not going to go anywhere.
And this is where you can see just how strategic staffing is. It's so much more than just filling empty seats. When you do it right, you're discovering amazing talent. You're boosting performance across the board because you have the perfect person in the perfect role. You're literally ensuring the long-term survival of the company. It also helps you get the most out of your resources, and maybe most importantly, it builds an amazing culture where people are happy and motivated.
Okay, so we get the why. Now let's jump into the first real practical stage, planning and recruiting. This is where the hunt for talent officially kicks off, and it always starts with a plan, not with a job ad. The very first thing you have to do is figure out your manpower needs. And this is so important. It's not just about counting how many empty desks you have. It's about really understanding the kind of skills, the qualifications, and even the personalities you're going to need to hit your goals down the road. It's a forecast of both quantity and quality. So how do companies do that? Well, it boils down to two key analyses. On one side, you have workload analysis. That basically asks what work actually needs to get done. On the other side, you have workforce analysis, which asks, okay, who do we already have on the team to do it? When you compare the two, you instantly see the gap. Are you understaffed, overstaffed, or maybe you're just right? That comparison is the bedrock of your whole recruiting strategy.
Once you know who you need, you've got a big decision to make. Where do you look? You can look internally, promote from within, transfer people. The pros here are huge. It's a great motivator for your current staff, it's cheaper, and you know who you're getting. The downside? You might miss out on fresh ideas. Or you can look externally. Think job ads, recruiters, campus visits. This brings in fresh talent and new perspectives, but it can be way more expensive, take a lot longer, and sometimes it can be a real downer for your internal folks who are hoping for that promotion. A smart company usually does a bit of both.
So, your recruiting worked. You have a pool of applicants. Now for the really critical part, selection. This is where you have to figure out how to choose the single best person from that group and turn them into a thriving member of your team.
A good selection process is kind of like a funnel. You start wide at the top with a preliminary screening to weed out anyone who's obviously not qualified. Then you narrow it down with selection tests and interviews to dig a lot deeper. After that, you do your reference checks to make sure everything adds up. And finally, you make your decision, make the offer, and seal the deal with a contract. Every single step is designed to filter candidates so that only the absolute best fit makes it to the very end. And that testing phase is pretty fascinating because it's all about getting a complete picture of a candidate. An intelligence test isn't about finding a genius. It's about seeing how they learn. Aptitude tests look at their potential to learn new things. Personality tests give you a clue about whether they'll fit into your culture. A trade test measures the hard skills they already have. And an interest test can help you see if they're actually passionate about this kind of work. The goal is to build a profile that tells you not just if they can do the job, but if they'll love doing it. Once you've made your hire, you've got two final crucial steps: placement and orientation. Placement is simple, right? It's putting the person in the job you hired them for. But orientation, that's so much bigger. That's about introducing them to the team, the company culture, the unwritten rules. A really great orientation can make all the difference in how fast someone feels like they truly belong.
But listen, the job is not done once you've hired someone.
The best companies out there know that staffing is a marathon, not a sprint. So our next stage is all about investing in that new hire through training.
Now, let's get something straight. Training and development are not the same thing. Training is all about the job. It's focused on giving an employee the skills to do their current job better, right now. Development, on the other hand, is all about their career. It's about growing that person for the long haul, for their next role, and the one after that. You absolutely need both.
For the organization, the payoff is huge. I mean, it's a no-brainer. Well-trained people are more productive, which means more profit. You're also building your next generation of leaders from within. Morale goes up, and really importantly, people are less likely to leave, which saves you a ton of money. It's a direct investment in your company's future.
And for the employee, it's a massive win. Training is how you build a real career, not just have a job. It opens doors to promotions, to higher pay. It makes you better and more confident at what you do, which, at the end of the day, just makes work more enjoyable. It's the definition of a win-win.
And that brings us to the final, ongoing phase of this whole cycle. How do you keep your people motivated and rewarded for the long haul? This is all about managing that long-term journey. It all kind of rests on three final pillars. First, you need performance appraisals, a fair way to evaluate how someone is doing and give them feedback. Second, you need promotion and career planning. You've got to show people there's a path forward for them inside the company. And finally, compensation. All the ways you reward people, from their salary and bonus to things like health insurance and vacation time, all three have to work together perfectly.
So look, if you take just one thing away today, let it be this. Staffing is not a one-time thing you do and then forget about. It is a continuous, living, breathing cycle. It's this ongoing process of finding, growing, and keeping an amazing team of people. That's it. That's the secret sauce.
And I'll just leave you with this to think about. As our jobs get more complex, and as technology like AI changes everything, which part of this whole staffing process do you think is going to be the most critical to get right in the future? Is it finding the talent? Is it training them? Or is it something else? Definitely something to chew on.